I got fired over a girl, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Hey everyone, I'm here to share one of the most bizarre and dramatic stories of my life. You might think this is just another getting fired sob story, but trust me, it's not. I'm a 35-year-old male, and up until recently, I had everything going for me. I had an outstanding career. I was thriving at my job as a project manager at a mid-sized tech firm. I was making great money, had solid friendships with my colleagues, and was even starting to get recognition from higher-ups. But this all came crashing down in the most insane way possible. So here's how it went down. I worked at a company that prided itself on its close-knit team. We had this tight group of professionals, and everyone knew everyone. There was this one girl, Emily, who had joined the company about a year ago. She was smart, beautiful, and just incredibly easy to talk to. We hit it off immediately, but there was just one problem: so did my boss, Greg. Now, I knew Greg was a bit of a charmer, and he had always been kind of friendly with the team, but I didn't realize just how much he was into Emily. At first, I thought we were just two guys competing for her attention in a harmless way, but over time, I started to realize that my feelings for Emily were growing stronger. She was funny, kind-hearted, and we both shared a love for obscure 90s movies. We'd go out for drinks after work sometimes, just the two of us. I didn't think much of it. I figured she was just a great colleague and friend. But it was clear she had become a bit of a topic of interest around the office, especially for Greg. So, things started getting weird. Greg started making comments, suggesting I step back, even though I hadn't made any moves on Emily. I mean, I didn't think I had to announce my intentions, but Greg's actions were starting to feel a little passive-aggressive. Then one day, things came to a head. Greg called me into his office. "Hey, sit down, I need to talk to you about something," he said. I sat down, trying to prepare for whatever he was going to say. "You've been getting close to Emily." "Too close," he began. I looked at him, confused. "What do you mean?" He leaned forward, lowering his voice. "You know that's a little inappropriate. You and I both know she's not really your type. Don't think I haven't noticed the way you act around her." I was stunned. I tried to explain that I wasn't doing anything wrong, that it was all just work stuff, but Greg wouldn't have it. He said something about me overstepping boundaries and how my behavior was affecting the team dynamics. My heart was pounding in my chest. He stared at me for a moment before speaking again, his voice cold. "I've made up my mind. I'm going to let you go." The day I was fired was one of the hardest of my life. Walking out of the office, leaving behind my desk and everything I had worked for, felt like a punch in the gut. It wasn't just about losing my job. It was about losing everything: my identity, my friends, my purpose. But what hit me even harder was the way Greg acted. It wasn't just that I was fired, it felt personal. He seemed almost smug, like he was winning something. And all of it? All of it because of Emily. I spent the next 2 weeks wallowing in self-pity. I sent out a ton of resumes, but nothing came close to my previous role. It seemed like the universe was conspiring against me. But then, 2 weeks later, something happened that I never saw coming. I was at home, checking job postings online, when my phone rang. I glanced at the caller ID. It was a number I didn't recognize. "Hello?" I answered. "Hi, is this your name?" a voice on the other end asked. "Yeah, who's this?" "This is Jason, I work at competitor company. I've been following your work for a while now, and I think you'd be a perfect fit for a role we have available." I froze for a second. My mind was racing. Jason went on to tell me how impressed they were with my resume and work history, and how they wanted to offer me a position as a senior project manager with better pay, better benefits, and the opportunity for real growth. The catch? It was a huge leap forward, and it required me to make a decision right away. I barely hesitated before accepting the offer. In one phone call, my life had completely shifted. I was leaving my old company behind, and this new opportunity promised everything I had ever wanted, and more. I felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders. I'd been at my new job for a week when I got an idea. A petty one. but an idea I couldn't resist. I decided to go back to my old company. To confront Greg. To rub it in his face. I walked into the building, past the receptionist, and straight into the elevator. My heart was pounding in my chest. I hadn't been back here since the day I was fired. I stepped out of the elevator on the top floor and made my way to Greg's office. I could hear voices from inside. I knocked. "Come in," Greg called. I opened the door and there he was, sitting behind his desk. He looked up at me, surprised to see me. Well. Your name?" "Back so soon," he said, a smirk forming on his face. I smiled back, feeling a surge of confidence I hadn't had in weeks. "Actually, I'm not back. I'm here to say thank you." He raised an eyebrow. "Thank me?" "Yeah. Thank you for firing me," I said, holding back a chuckle. "I've got a much better job now. One with actual growth and opportunity. And, honestly, I'm better off without you in my life." Greg's expression faltered for a second, and that's when Emily walked into the room. "Hey, Greg. I just finished the reports you needed," she said, looking at me. Then she smiled. "Oh, your name. I didn't realize you were here. I'm so glad to see you." Greg's face went pale. His eyes flicked from Emily to me, and then to the papers on his desk. "Emily," he stammered, looking back at me. "Wait, what is she doing here?" I turned to Emily with a grin. "Oh, didn't you hear? She's my new secretary." Greg's jaw dropped. Emily walked over to my side and gave me a playful wink, leaning in slightly. "Yeah, I'm really excited to work with your name now. He's going places." You could not imagine the look on Greg's face. His eyes were wide, his face red, and his mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. I could practically hear the gears in his mind turning as he processed the bombshell. I didn't stay much longer after that. I thanked him again for firing me and for giving me the push I needed to take my career to the next level. I walked out of that office with a feeling I had never experienced before, pure, unadulterated freedom. Emily and I kept in touch, and needless to say, we had a few drinks to celebrate the new chapter in both our lives. I knew I was on the right path now. As for Greg? Well, let's just say I don't think he's going to forget me anytime soon. So, yeah, getting fired over a crush on the same girl was one of the worst things that ever happened to me. And also one of the best. Because it led me to something far better. And, honestly, if I hadn't been let go, I probably wouldn't have found the courage to take that leap. It turns out, life has a funny way of working out when you least expect it. Thanks for reading, everyone. Let me know if you want to hear more about how things have been going since.